Welcome everybody, so glad you could join me. Today we got another fun and exciting episode with a little bit of hip-hop flavor. Maybe, I wouldn't classify this solely as a hip-hop album, probably a trip-hop and full of all kinds of other pop and other genres that are experimented with and done quite well. So, without further ado, let's get right into the music. This is Massive Attack's Blue Lines, released in 1991 by Virgin Records. This album makes me smile. This is a lovely way to start off my introduction into sort of early 90s hip-hop, where that genre was sort of coming more into the forefront of everyone's consciousnesses and taking over the radio waves. Out of England, Massive Attack does a great job with this. I see a lot of ideas presented on this album that are popping up even to this day in popular music. So, sit back and go on one of the most soothing hip-hop adventures you've ever experienced. Seeing this album's influences popping up here and there throughout the timeline of my life is super interesting. I love discovering old music while the genre still continues to evolve and flourish now. To be able to experience the change while it's happening and then go back and see maybe where it came from is a super fascinating way for me to experience music. The opening track pulls you in with this fast-paced, groovy bass line. The song feels like sort of a somber, slow game of pass, just catching that tune as it's about to drop and keeping it going, rolling back and forth. It's sort of got a circular feeling, but maybe more of an ovular feeling, so it's almost like gravity starts catching up to you right before you get back into it. It's a super groovy, fun intro. Sharon Nelson provides some haunting vocals over top of sort of a spoken word rap passage that then transitions back into that haunting, captivating chorus this one has. The high-pitched, almost whistling backing of this bass-driven track is all propped up on top of this incredible vocal and rapping performance. It's an undeniable groove. Massive Attack slows it down with One Love, not to be confused with the Bob Marley track. This track focuses on basically the power of monogamy. At some point it sounds like it was almost recorded underwater or in a cave. The vocals are sort of a little bit distant and a bit echoey in a way that's really complementary to the backing of this one, that feels a little maybe Jamaican. However simple this track may be, they introduce some incredible little interjections, like a blaring horn that sounds perfectly out of a modern rap hip-hop track. It was probably a sample, so I might be able to get away with playing it for you. And with an intro that sounds straight out of a early 2000s crime thriller. This track is totally propelled by the instrumental, and the vocals are kind of just a nice little complementing feature on top of it all. Moving on to the title track, this is a simple drum and bass backbeat, classic hip-hop song. Using some James Brown samples, this simple tried and true formula allows the members to spit their daily struggles and maybe issues with bipolar disorder and just not working hard enough. Struggles with... Hey! It's okay, guys. Shh. Come here. Come here. Pepper, come on. Come on. Come on. Hey! Come on! Come here. Well, hit the camera, guys. Pepper, no. Be nice, Pepper. Lie down. Lay down. Lay down. Good girl. This track is a great transition into the song, Be Thankful for What You Got. It's an appropriate kind of life motto to run by most times, particularly now. This track harnesses quiet drums, subtle bass, creates a smooth, soothing sensation that flows and is just fun, sort of pop electronic flavoring here and there. This track almost feels like an inspiration for like a Timbaland or something. Maybe he modernized this song with The Way I Are. Or maybe I'm just looking into it a little too deep. Another pretty clearly influential track, 5 Man Army. This track hits low and slow with some dope reggae tones on top of some slick rap beat. It passes around the room like a fat joint, nice and easily. This track jams like Sublime's Doing Time, but 5 years ahead of them. This one hits the reggae hip-hop fusion right on the nose, making the band feel once again ahead of the curve on this one. Now to the most musically complex piece, Unfinished Symphony. I'm going to kick you out if you're not quiet. Out. Up, out. Yep, good girl. Hopefully there wasn't too much panting on the last couple minutes. Now on to the most musically complex piece on the album, Unfinished Symphony. This track has dense layering of shakers and xylophones, record scratches, and a simple kick-snare drum pattern, a piano, some extra vocals, all on top of these beautiful harmonious strings. That is actually a live ensemble that they got together for this song. It really does manage to encompass the feeling of the push and pull of not sure if you're finished with loving someone or not. Daydreaming is a classic working man's hip-hop track with maybe an African-inspired backbeat. It focuses mainly on themes of escapism, with the band talking about how they just want to relax and chill and not get all caught up in the whole race of things, feeling disenfranchised with the entire experience of what they're going through at the time. The second to last track, Lately, is not unlike the opening track, with that similarly slow, funky, groovy bass line that propels through the entire song. Something about the hard-hitting bass lines on this album feeling almost futuristic. It manages to have such a pull on the tracks where it's prominently featured. Also reminiscent of the opener, this track has these reverby, sensual vocal track that looks back on the way things were. And with that sentiment, they move on to the final track, the Hymn of the Big Wheel. This is a totally different genre for them, with a more pop anthemic vibe to the entire thing. It's the longest and probably the clearest lyrically on the album, with a simple story of a man telling his son about the way things are, and just that everything will be what it will be and the big wheel will keep on turning. Like many songs on this album, almost 30 years after their release, still feel timeless, catchy, and like you could put them on in the background of a classy cafe or something. This one's got some interesting instrumentation with didgeridoos and even some whale noises. It's just such a cool atmosphere that's created by these overlapping sounds from all over the world. The epic opening of whale noises and didgeridoos flow into you, almost filling you up right to the brim until just a simple, nice classic beat comes in and the groove hits, and then overflows with horns straight into a euphoric, catchy chorus. What a soothing end to an album that doesn't seem to know what genre it does best. Massive Attack, Blue Lines. This debut album sets an incredibly high bar for a band that hopefully, if I can find a couple more of these CDs, or maybe if I look it up on the internet, this is an amalgamation of multiple genres that come together at the perfect time and place to create this smooth, flowy, almost jazz-like hip-hop experience. Consider yourself lucky if you find this digging around in a garage sale or something, because this is a well worth project to have in your collection. I'm a huge fan. I'll be sure to keep on spinning it. So you take this thing out on the road with you, it feels like you're driving through a field of billowy clouds forever. If you made it this far in the video, be sure to give me a like, subscribe, and I'll be back at it with some more on One Man's Tracks. I'll see you next time.